Sima Qing came in front of them and he disdainfully tossed the man onto the ground. He even took out a handkerchief to wipe his hands. The Sima clansman saw the man on the ground and asked, "Ancestor, this is?" You said that the chi spirits seemed to be controlled by someone and that the person wouldn't be far, so she got me to investigate nearby. When the chi spirits were exterminated, I happened to see this guy, so I brought him over. Sima Qing said hatefully. Was this person beaten up by you? Sima Qing shook his head. He was like this when I saw him. He should have been hit by recoil. Sima Yu saw that he was in a half-dead state and stretched forth her senses to search his mind, but it was a blank slate. She stood up disappointedly and said, his brain has shattered. He should have been linked with the chi spirits. If the chi spirits are around, he is around. With the spirit chi shattered, his mind shattered as well. It should be done in order to prevent something like this from happening. Sima Ji Yuan said. Since his mind had already shattered, the person was no longer of any use. Sima Yu lit up a fireball and directly burnt him into ashes. Then, she said to everyone, you guys should rest for a while, then tell me what happened here. They returned to the city and found an inn to stay in. Sima Yu guessed that they had been in a very stressful situation these few days and should rest now. Hence, she did not disturb them and went to walk around on her own to see if she could find out any information on her own. She walked around and all she heard was how much treasure there was here and there in the cemeteries, but she didn't get any closer to finding out more about the chi spirits. She sighed in her heart. These people were just like that. No matter how many people died, all people ever cared about was treasure. As for information about the chi spirits, she guessed that Han Miao Shuang and the others were the ones who were the clearest on it. She walked around but didn't hear much of anything else, so she went home. After staying outside for more than half a day, when she went back, she heard that they were still resting. Hence, she went back to her room, took out a book and started to read. The 5-year mark would be around these few days, and she didn't know whether or not the Xian Qiu clan had sent men to look for her. If they knew that she wasn't around, would they think that she had reneged? Reneged? After coming out, she placed Sima Lu Xian into her little realm and thought of taking another type of divine medicine to treat him. If Xian Qiu's men didn't look for her, she could only head to the Xian Qiu clan. She figured that the Xian Yuan pavilion should know where the Xian Qiu clan was located. Knock 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 dash. Knocks on the door interrupted her train of thought as she stopped worrying and got up to answer it. She saw 3 people standing outside and she smiled, senior brothers and sister, have you all rested well? We ate pills and rested for a day, so we've pretty much recovered. Han Miao Shuang entered the room. When she saw the armament book, she asked, junior sister, are you dipping into armament mastery now? Yeah, because of some reasons, I can't help but study armament. Sima Yu didn't keep the personal letter away, but turned around to make tea for the 3 of them instead. Junior sister still makes the best tea. Su Xiao sighed as he drank a mouthful. Sima Yu smiled, senior brother, how are things over at the valley? They've already set up shop in the inner regions, but they've encountered some trouble. However, Uncle Bai has already settled it for them. Now, they're pretty stable even in the inner regions. Su Xiao said. That's good then. Sima Yu nodded. She saw that Jiang Junxian had fallen asleep on Han Miao Shuang's shoulder and shook her head helplessly. Yu, take a look at Junxian. He's been sleeping even more nowadays, and there were many times we couldn't wake him up no matter how hard we tried. We're worried that his body. Han Miao Shuang lowered her head to look at Jiang Junxian and her eyes were filled with worry. Sima Yu knew that Jiang Junxian had been suffering from the aftereffects of an old poison. She had heard that the poison was already cured, so she didn't examine Jiang Junxian's body. Now that she heard Han Miao Shuang say this, she was rather worried. Senior brother, let me take a look at you. She came beside Jiang Junxian and knew that he would often get sleepy. After speaking, she grabbed his wrist. Jiang Junxian's body moved, but he didn't pull away. He didn't attack either. Sima Yu took Jiang Junxian's pulse and her expression was solemn. Yu. Han Miao Shuang moved her lips but saw Sima Yu shake her head, so she swallowed the rest of her words. Sima Yu used a different hand to take his pulse, then inserted her spirit energy to inspect his inner body. Su Xiao and Han Miao Shuang exchanged glances, and they saw worry reflected in the eyes of the other. After a long moment passed, Sima Yu retrieved her spirit energy. She asked Su Xiao to carry Jiang Junxian to the bed, then she took out her acupuncture needles and inserted one into his neck. Sensing that Jiang Junxian had fallen into a deep sleep, Su Xiao pulled Sima Yu and asked, junior sister, what's wrong with Junxian? Although senior brother's poison had been completely cured before, when he was poisoned, his mind was damaged so this kind of consequence remained. Sima Yu said. We know that. But why has his condition gotten so serious? Han Miao Shuang asked worriedly. His mental state has been deteriorating this whole year. Now, his regression has gotten more intense. Sima Yu sighed. Can he be treated? Su Xiao asked. It's not that there's no way. Sima Yu sighed, but it won't be too easy. No matter how difficult it is, we have to try. Han Miao Shuang clenched her fist. Her gaze towards Jiang Junxian was resolute. Cough, senior sister, it's not as serious as you think. You don't have to act like this. You won't have to cross mountains of blades and seas of fire. Sima Yu teased when she saw her acting like that. Really? Han Miao Shuang didn't believe it. Your expression was so scary just now, so it looks like the situation is dire. You also said that it won't be easy, so why are you saying that it's not so serious now? I said that it was troublesome, not that it was difficult to treat. It's just that the process is rather troublesome. Sima Yu said. Really? Han Miao Shuang didn't really dare to believe it. Truer than gold. Sima Yu said with a smile. So how is it troublesome? Su Xiao asked. As long as there was a way. The process is long, and we will need to keep a constant eye on his situation to ensure that it goes smoothly. Sima Yu sighed. In the middle, we might have to change many different pill methods. This isn't much. The main thing is that you have to stay with me for the next few years. When she heard her say this, Han Miao Shuang finally really believed her words. If we have to stay with you, then we'll stay with you. In any case, it doesn't matter wherever the three of us are. Su Xiao said. Right, as long as we can cure Jun Xian, we can do anything. In any case, being with junior sister is something to be happy about. Han Miao Shuang said. Sima Yu was rather hesitant. What's wrong? Sima Yu thought about it, saying, I have some things to do for now, and it will be rather dangerous. If you come with me, I'm afraid that I'll be putting you in danger. Previous chapter. Su Xiao and Han Miao Shuang were shocked and they heard her say that it would be dangerous. Junior sister, what are you going to do? Su Xiao asked with a serious expression. Initially, he didn't hear that she was going to do anything dangerous. If not for this, was she not planning to tell them? Sima Yu hesitated, but ended up telling them about how she was going to the Xianqiu clan to obtain a divine medicine. The Xianqiu clan is a secret clan. It won't be easy if you want to obtain the divine medicine from them. We'll have to see whether Xianqiu he can obtain the divine medicine and whether or not he keeps his word. Su Xiao said. I believe that he will keep his promise. But I'm not sure whether or not he will be able to obtain the divine medicine. Sima Yu still believed in Xianqiu he's character, however, whether or not the Xianqiu clan gives me the divine medicine, I must have it. Then that's even more reason for us to go with you. Han Miao Shuang said, if anything happens to you, how could we just stand aside and ignore it? No matter whether or not we are treating Jun Xian, we must go with you. But. No buts. Han Miao Shuang was firm. You initially said that you wanted to go back, so we couldn't involve ourselves in issues involving your clan and we didn't say much about it. However, this situation is too dangerous. As your senior brother and sister, we couldn't let you go through this alone. Sima Yu looked at Han Miao Shuang and Su Xiao. Their expressions were the same. There was no room for discussion. Thinking about Feng Xiang and the others who were in her little realm, even if this situation was rather dangerous, it probably wouldn't be life-threatening. She nodded, saying, all right then. We'll be able to treat senior brother in the meantime. Seeing that she had agreed, the both of them heaved a sigh of relief. This junior sister of theirs was the hardest to convince. They initially thought that they would have to waste a lot of words, but she had agreed pretty quickly this time. After settling this issue, Han Miao Shuang started to worry about Jiang Jun Xian again. Junior sister, why isn't Jun Xian waking up? When he used to fall asleep in the past, he wasn't really sleeping. His mind was just tired. Now, I'm letting him sleep deeply, which will truly allow him to rest. Sima Yu said. Then how long will that be? Let him sleep for a night. Sima Yu said, I will perform acupuncture for him in a moment, then let him recuperate. Junior sister, if you want to refine some medicine, you can let us know. If I can get you guys to help, I definitely won't do it alone. Sima Yu said with a smile, looking at Han Miao Shuang with a teasing gaze. Junior sister. Han Miao Shuang was embarrassed under her gaze and her embarrassment turned into anger as she looked like she wanted to beat her up. Senior sister, I'll need to perform acupuncture on senior brother. If you hit me, my hand might hurt and if my needles aren't stable, it will cause senior brother to suffer. When Sima Yu said this, Han Miao Shuang reluctantly lowered her hand. She glared at Sima Yu and huffed, after this, I'll definitely have my revenge. Sima Yu wasn't afraid of her as she got Han Miao Shuang to strip Jiang Jun Xian of his clothes. When he was left with only his, she was so embarrassed that her whole face turned red. Sima Yu looked sideways at her and asked, Senior sister, you've been with senior brother for such a long time. Could it be that you haven't? We said that we would only get married once we found master. Han Miao Shuang lowered her head and she looked extremely sheepish. When she mentioned Su Jin, Sima Yu no longer felt like joking anymore. She nodded, once I treat my father, let's look for master. Of course. Master has been gone for such a long time. Although we know his life is not in danger, he has never contacted us. I'm rather worried that master has been trapped. Sima Yu said rather guiltily. It was all because of her that Su Jin and Gulang had disappeared for such a long time. When she thought about this and also thought about all the different things she had to do that kept her from looking for them, the guilt in her heart increased. Junior sister, master wouldn't blame you. Su Xiao said. Sima Yu smiled, let me perform acupuncture for senior brother first. Because Jiang Jun Xian's wounds were of the mind, she only inserted a few needles into his body while the areas on his neck and upwards were filled with needles. Han Miao Shuang's heart tightened when she saw this. She wouldn't turn his head into a sieve at this rate, right? This time, there weren't that many acupuncture needles. However, because they were near his brain, Sima Yu had to spend even more energy concentrating. It was a good thing that her mental strength had grown quite a bit. Adding to that, her experience in the void pool, she wasn't suffering and her forehead merely started to sweat. After that, she helped to take Jiang Jun Xian's pulse again. She took out a pill formula and a bunch of pill ingredients, handing them to Han Miao Shuang. This is the pill formula and ingredients. You can refine some pills for eldest senior brother. Hang Miao Shuang took the ingredients and recipe before heading back to the room. Su Xiaoxiao saw that there was nothing for him, so he planned to take Jiang Junxian back. Senior brother, wait. I have something I want to ask you. Sima Yuyu stopped him. What is it, junior sister? Sima Yuyu pulled him to the side of the table and sat down. She said, I saw back then that the chi spirits were different from the ones we had encountered before. I wanted to ask you what you thought. When she mentioned the chi spirits, Su Xiaoxiao was in no hurry to leave as well because he had also felt that they were strange. Later on, he told her about the situation they encountered when they went inside. Sima Yuyu trembled when she heard what he said, and felt lucky that she had gotten them to invite her senior brothers and sister. On that day, she had mentioned to Sima Qing about Su Xiaoxiao and the others, and he had immediately sent his men to invite them. Then he sent them directly over to where Sima Zhiyuan and the others were. When they knew that they were Sima Yuyu's senior brothers and sister and that they had deviant flames, they brought them with them wherever they went. Later on, it showed how great their decision was. Although the spirit masters they had chosen were all of the lightning attribute or spirit masters who had contracted spirit beasts with the lightning attribute, they were not very useful inside there. Although the strengths of the spirit beasts would not increase when they were struck with lightning, they were unable to exterminate them. It was only Su Xiaoxiao and the others who were able to use their deviant flames to kill them. Furthermore, the strength of the chi spirits had increased since the last time they encountered them. When they attacked them, they showed intelligence. This probably had to do with the person that Sima Yuyu said was controlling them. Because they had the three of them, the Sima clan had suffered the least casualties this time. Sima Yuyu fell silent after hearing his story. The lightning attributes were actually unable to exterminate the chi spirits. Just this point alone was enough to give everyone a headache. Although the chi spirits wouldn't become stronger when they were killed by the lightning attributes, they could revive quickly. However, the spirit energy of the spirit masters would not recover so easily. If they fought with the chi spirits, their spirit energies would be depleted sooner or later. Once eldest senior brother is awake, let us head to the cemetery to take a look and see just what it is that has caused the change in the chi spirits. They couldn't think of a reason why, so they could only head there directly and take a look. They might be able to discover something. She knew that if she said that she wanted to go in alone, they would definitely disagree, so she might as well go with them. In any case, they had deviant flames. Adding that to her own top-grade purple lightning and little birdie, they wouldn't be in much danger. What Yuyu didn't know was that, shortly after she left the clan, there were people who came to look for her. When they found out that she was not in the clan, they didn't say much before leaving directly. Previous chapter. The next day. Jiang Junxian, who had rested for the entire night, opened his eyes. He had slept for so many years, but this was the first time that he had truly felt so comfortable. Eldest senior brother, you're awake. Sima Yuyu was currently looking at Jiang Junxian. The moment he woke up, she saw it. Jiang Junxian sat up from the bed and realized that his clothes were different. What's up with me? You're sick. I performed acupuncture on you. How was your sleep last night? Sima Yuyu walked over and helped to take his pulse. Your situation is still alright. Senior sister didn't spend the night refining pills for you for nothing. So junior sister has helped take a look at me. It's no wonder I slept so well last night. Where's Miao Shuang? Jiang Junxian asked. After sending you the pills yesterday, I saw that she was too tired, so I got her to go back and rest. Sima Yuyu said. Initially, she planned to head to the cemetery after Jiang Junxian had awakened. However, seeing how things were now, they probably had to push it half a day back. Senior brother, you should go back and rest for a bit. Sima Yuyu said to Su Xiaoxiao. They had chatted the whole night last night. Although spirit masters didn't need to sleep, since they couldn't go anywhere today anyway, he might as well rest before they set off. Su Xiaoxiao glanced at Jiang Junxian, nodded his head and left. Sima Yuyu told Jiang Junxian about his situation and also told him about her plans to treat him. He didn't have much of an opinion towards his own condition, and it wasn't a big deal for him to follow her. When he knew that she wanted to go to the Xianqiu clan, his thoughts resonated with Su Xiaoxiao and the others. Since it was something that was going to be dangerous, he naturally wanted to accompany her. Sima Yuyu knew that when she said these words, Jiang Junxian would pay Han Miao Shuang a visit. So she went to visit the Sima clan on her own. Huang Yingying and the others knew that she was in the house treating Jiang Junxian, so they didn't disturb her. They didn't expect her to visit them. Grandfather, grandmother, I'm going to the cemetery. Sima Yuyu said her motive directly. What are you going to the cemetery for? Although there's quite a bit of treasure there, it's too dangerous. Huang Yingying thought about her previous experience and felt a bit of trepidation. Grandmother, didn't I say before that the chi spirits were different from the ones in the past? I'm going to the cemetery to see just what the difference is. That's still too dangerous. As long as the person had gone through it before, they would know how terrifying the cemetery was. Grandmother, you can relax. Those chi spirits are helpless against me. Sima Yuyu held on to Huang Yingying's hand. I have top-grade purple lightning as well as little birdie. They can't do anything to me. Look, didn't I kill all of those chi spirits yesterday? They're not afraid of the average lightning, but they're afraid of my top-grade purple lightning. Be careful. If you can find out the reason, it would be the best. However, if you cannot, you do not have to pursue it. You just have to stay safe. Sima Xiuqi nagged. I understand. Sima Yuyu smiled at Sima Xiuqi. Grandfather was quite a bit more straightforward than grandmother. How is your senior brother doing? It's a little troublesome. He will need a long time before he can be treated. That's why they will have to follow me for a period of time. Sima Yu sighed. But don't you have to go to the Xianqiu clan? That's right. When they heard that I wanted to go over, they said that they definitely had to come with me. I'm thinking that, since I have Aunt Feng's people with me, there shouldn't be any problems. So, I'll just take them with me and I'll be able to treat senior brother in the meantime. Sima Yu said, oh right, grandfather, I heard ancestor tell me that master had brought you here. Why don't I see master and the others? Although we came here together, we split up once we arrived. That's why we didn't see them the whole time. Sima Xiuqi explained, however, I'm thinking that they should be fine. I saw that they had people who possessed deviant fire amongst them. When Sima Yu heard that they possessed deviant fire, she relaxed quite a bit. After leaving Sima Xiuqi's room, she sent out a large wave of scarlet bees. She hoped to be able to find Feng Zhixing's location during this period of time. A sleepless night passed. The scarlet bees were truly adept at scouting for information. When daylight arrived, they brought news of Feng Zhixing. However, it wasn't good news. When she finished listening to the scarlet bees report, Sima Yu sighed and knocked on Han Miaoshuang's door. After half an hour had passed, Sima Yu and the other three left the city gates and headed over to the cemetery. Junior sister, you said that your master and the others all headed to the cemetery? Is this piece of information reliable? Han Miaoshuang was worried that someone had set up a trap. After all, this situation was even more dangerous than the last time. It's information that I got from my scarlet bees, so it should be reliable. Sima Yu understood what she meant. However, she was just a little spirit master. Why would those people waste energy on dealing with her? To even set up such a big trap and get her scarlet bees to inform her. That would be too inconceivable. After all, those people wouldn't think of where the scarlet bees would go to obtain the information. Regardless of whether or not it is a trap, we just have to be careful. I'm guessing that the time back in the outer regions, we accidentally foiled their plans. That's why those people weren't in time to manipulate the situation. Those people controlling things behind the scenes are probably not simple. Su Xiaoxiao suggested. If they want to form these qi spirits, they need not only a huge and auspicious area, but a very long time. That was why most powers would be eliminated outside. I'm guessing that there's a high chance it's the workings of the secret clans. Jiang Junxian was leaning on Han Miaoshuang's shoulder, saying with sleepy eyes. Sima Yu felt the same way. Other powers didn't have this inside information. Then what do you think about the issue with the undead? They knew about the issue with the undead as well, so they probably had their own thoughts. The undead? The Yang clan has yet to have such ambition and ability. Jiang Junxian sat up, the people behind this are definitely working together with someone. I feel like this issue probably has an inextricable link with the ghost clan. The way to create undead probably came from the ghost realm. Su Xiaoxiao postulated. Sigh, I hope that the ones behind the undead and the ones behind the qi spirits are not the same group of people. Han Miaoshuang sighed. I feel like it's not too likely that they will be the same group of people. However, they're both difficult to deal with. Jiang Junxian massaged his temples. This world was really getting chaotic. Sima Yu was still a little worried. In this kind of chaotic world, she had no choice but to become stronger. Junior sister, since the scarlet bees have found that your master and the others are in the cemetery, have they managed to pinpoint their location? Sima Yu shook her head, those people only managed to bump into master and the others when they returned to the city. They don't know where they are. This cemetery is so big. If we don't know where they are exactly, it won't be easy to find them. Let's see when we're there. Sima Yu replied. When they arrived at the cemetery, her eyebrows subconsciously knitted together. Previous chapter. Han Miaoshuang and the others were not familiar with arrays. When they saw Sima Yu like that, they knew that something was wrong. Junior sister, what's wrong? Su Xiaoxiao asked. Sima Yu sighed, saying, the feng shui here is similar to the one before, it was initially an auspicious land, but someone has changed it into a cursed one instead. Is there something different about it? Jiang Junxian asked. If it was the same as the last time, the qi spirits would not be different from before. Sima Yu nodded, with the change in the array, the lightning element has been added in. Also, there are traces that show it has only changed recently. I'm guessing that this is the reason why the qi spirits have changed. That's why those qi spirits can revive themselves after being struck by lightning. There's not much lightning element, but this little bit strengthens their ability to hold themselves against lightning. However, when they encounter stronger lightning, they are still exterminated. It was not limited to her top-grade purple lightning. If others had a high enough level of cultivation, they would be able to exterminate the qi spirits as well. She called out many scarlet bees and instructed them, go and scout the area. See if you can find my master and the others. The scarlet bees fluttered their tiny wings and flew away. Let's head inside the cemetery and take a look. Sima Yu said to the three of them. All right. They all possessed deviant fire. If they didn't have to protect others, they would be able to wander around freely in the cemetery. Jiang Junxian and the others had gone into the cemetery before, so they found the entrance very quickly. The moment they entered, what they saw was not chi spirits nor treasure, but a pile of bones. The entire cemetery had been dyed red with their blood. They clearly knew that this place was riddled with danger, but for the sake of treasure, they ended up like this. Sima Yu sighed. She lit a fireball and burnt the corpses into ashes. Then, the flame returned to her palm and her hand was filled with spirit rings. When Su Xiao and the others saw what she did, they couldn't help but laugh. There was no need to see how many treasures she had, but she still refused to let even these go. She was even self-righteously sighing about how these people valued money over their own lives. Sima Yu could see what they were thinking and put the interspatial rings away with a wave of her hand. I'm different from them. If I knew that I would die, I wouldn't enter this place. I love money, but I love life more. I'll keep this for now. We'll split it when we get back. I hope there's good things in here. The three seniors of her didn't object. They were not obsessed about the things these people owned, unless it was a pill ingredient that they needed. Let's head inside and take a look. As they walked in deeper, everyone felt that it was strange. Apart from the corpses on the path, they didn't see a single bit of treasure or a single chi spirit. Could it be that these guys know that they can't defeat us, so they've all hidden away? Han Miaoshuang guessed. It's possible. If those people are controlling them, they should know that Junior Sister is their arch-nemesis. Su Xiao felt like it was entirely possible. It seems like I won't be able to examine much this time. Let's head back for now then. Since it was useless, there was no need to waste time. Jiang Junxian and the others felt the same. Once they left the cemetery, her scarlet bees sent word, telling her where Feng Zhixing and the others were. Just as Yu was about to leave, there was movement in the spatial area and a portal was opened. A group of people walked out. Master. Sima Yu saw the male beside her and ran over happily. When she saw the blood on his body, she grabbed his arm and asked, "You're injured?" Feng Zhixing saw how worried Sima Yu was and patted her hand, saying, "This is someone else's blood. What's going on? Didn't you say that you have deviant fire? Why? The ones who hurt us were not chi spirits, but other powers. They have a feud with us, so they were rather malicious." Feng Zhixing said, "There were many opponents, so we were a little unlucky. It's all thanks to them that we finally killed them off." Sima Yu looked at the people who had yet to speak after coming out and said rather puzzledly, "What are you guys doing here?" There was someone who was more familiar with Sima Yu. He was the guard who had gone to the ancient mine with her and Xianqiu He back then. "We received young master's instructions to pick you up from the Sima clan when we heard that you came here, so we came over as well. We didn't think that we would happen to see your master and the others trapped. The last time in the ancient mine, it was all thanks to young Master Feng and young Miss Yu, so we casually stepped in. This is an elder from the clan, Xianqiu Minglang. He has also come to pick up young Miss Yu." The guard said. An elder from the hidden family. He was probably pretty strong. This proved that the one who stepped in to rescue them was this elder. "Thank you, Elder Minglang, for your assistance." Sima Yu bowed to that elder. "Young Miss Yu, there's no need to be polite. You were the one who saved all of our many Xianqiu clansmen, so this cannot be considered for much." Xianqiu Minglang waved his hand, his straightforward expression rather amiable. "How did you know that we were here?" Jiang Junxian suddenly asked. "We came to pick up young Miss Yu, so we naturally have our ways to figure out where she is." Xianqiu Minglang replied, "Young Miss Yu, the 5-year mark has already arrived. I wonder if you will be able to come with us. Before we left, our young master urged us that time was of the essence. The situation may change if we delay." Sima Yu was shocked. The situation would change, was that referring to her divine medicine? "I have to go back and inform my clansmen before I can leave." "Alright. Then, let's head back together," Xianqiu Minglang said. The group of them returned to the city. Before Feng Zhixing left, Sima Yu called him to the side to speak to him alone. She used a barrier to surround them. "Master, it would be better for you all not to involve yourself with the chi spirits this time," Sima Yu said. "Why?" "I saw it when I went to the cemetery. Those chi spirits are not afraid of the lightning attribute, and there are people controlling it behind the scenes. If you do not possess their arch-nemesis, it will be too dangerous for you to participate. Also, there is no treasure in the cemetery, neither is there any inheritance or the like. To put it simply, it's an empty space." Sima Yu sighed. Feng Zhixing's eyes narrowed. Sima Yu hesitated for a moment before saying, "The formation of the chi spirits couldn't have been done overnight, so the ones behind it can't be your average power. They definitely have a long history. This kind of power is definitely too strong. I will take my people and return," Feng Zhixing said. "Master, why did you bring people here at the time?" Sima Yu asked. "Because news was spread that this was an emperor's cemetery and that there was a divine medicine here." Sima Yu paused for a moment. Most emperors would have divine medicine. If this really was an emperor's cemetery, then the divine medicine would be in this cemetery. It was no wonder that so many people had run over here. This piece of news was truly enough to entice people. This piece of news is fake. I have traversed the entire cemetery, and this is not an emperor's cemetery. This proved that the divine medicine was a hoax as well. She wondered who leaked out this piece of news, and what was their motive. More and more things were happening, and there were even more obstructions now. You couldn't see the wood for the trees, and she felt like the things in front of her eyes were muddled. She knew too little about it, and couldn't guess who was behind this at all. Since she couldn't figure it out, there was no point thinking about it. She would just be more careful in the future. Feng Zhixing took his people from the Integral Moon Palace and left. Since they knew that this place was a scam, they headed back directly. Sima Yuyu led Xian Qiuming and the rest back to the inn to look for Sima Zhiyuan and the others. They first told them about what happened in the cemetery and got them to return to the clan. Then she told them about the issue with the Xianqiu clan. When the Sima clansmen knew that she was going to go to the Xianqiu clan, they knew they could not run from this, so they were not surprised. They merely told her to be careful. Xian Qiuming Lang did not lead her directly to the Xianqiu clan, but they took a few teleportation arrays and the spatial ship, ending up in a place known as Declaration City. Sima Yuyu got off the spatial ship and took a deep breath. She smiled at Han Miao Shuang and the others, senior brothers and sister. Do you feel like the spirit energy here is so dense that a single breath can freshen up the mind? How could it be as exaggerated as you make it to be? Han Miao Shuang smiled, but the spirit energy here really is denser as compared to other places. Young Miss Yuyu, my responsibility was to send you here. There will naturally be someone else to take you home. Xian Qiuming Lang told Sima Yuyu. Will you not be taking me to the Xianqiu clan? I am merely an elder whose responsibility lies outside. I cannot casually head back to the clan. My orders were to send you here. Xian Qiuming Lang said with a smile. Sima Yuyu also guessed that a secret clan like his was one where the average person was unable to come close. There would definitely be someone responsible for things outside. As such, she didn't think too much about it and just headed towards an inconspicuous courtyard that Xian Qiuming Lang had led her to. Xian Qiuming Lang saw that Sima Yuyu did not ask him any questions and heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he saw the people in the courtyard, he was shocked and hurriedly knelt down, greeting, young master. Xianqiu, he was dressed in white, and his complexion that was always hidden, was resplendent under the sun. Sima Yuyu felt as if his body seemed to be shining with some kind of light. He smiled faintly at Sima Yuyu and said lightly, Yuyu, you're finally here. What are you doing here? Sima Yuyu was still shocked to see Xianqiu here. She didn't think that he would come personally to pick her up. I got anxious by waiting at home and wouldn't calm down. So, I might as well come and pick you up. Xianqiu, he smiled, you rushed all the way here, so you must be tired. Take a good rest for now. Let's set off tomorrow morning. Sima Yuyu initially wanted to leave earlier, but she thought of how she would have to treat Jiang Junjie and refine some medicine for him, and decided to nod and agree. We have already prepared your room. Xianqiu, he waved his hand and two servant girls walked over and bowed to Sima Yuyu. Young Miss Yuyu, please come with us. The courtyard was relatively small and simple. That was why there were not that many rooms. Sima Yuyu saw that the construction of the room was very unique. It looked very similar to the master room and she casually asked, whose courtyard is this? Young master's position is by the side. Young master has been waiting for young miss here for many days. One of the servant girls replied sheepishly. She had always heard that young master was graceful and elegant. Meeting him now, she finally knew that all those descriptions were incapable of capturing just how beautiful their young master really was. It was just a pity that he had to take the wheelchair everywhere and that he couldn't see. Are my seniors not going to stay here? There are only 2 bedrooms in this place. Young Miss Young Yu's seniors have been arranged to stay in the courtyard nearby. Sima Yuyu lightly furrowed her eyebrows. She wanted to object to this when she heard the sounds of a wheelchair. I wanted to invite you to come take a look at me at night. This place would be more convenient. Sima Yuyu walked over to Xianqiu. He sighed and sighed. Since you just want me to check your body, you don't have to prepare a room for me. I'll go and treat senior brother with acupuncture before coming over to look for you. Xianqiu, he stared at her, then nodded, all right. I'll wait for you in my room. He turned around in his wheelchair and Sima Yuyu walked behind him, pushing him to his room. Thank you. Xianqiu, he let go of his wheel and nodded lightly. After sending Xianqiu he to his room, Yuyu went over to Jiang Junxian and examined him, performed acupuncture and fed him his medicine. When it was all done, the sky had already turned dark. By the time she went to the main residence, Xianqiu he's room light was still on. She knocked on the door and heard Xianqiu he's voice. The servant girls opened the door from inside and bowed to Sima Yuyu, saying, we'll have to trouble young Miss Yuyu. Sima Yuyu nodded at her, then stood up and left. Xianqiu he took out a tablet rubbing and was reading it. He sensed Sima Yuyu enter and he placed down the tablet rubbing, saying rather sadly, in the past, I've only been able to read these kinds of tablet rubbings when I want to read. I've never been able to look at a real book. I wonder whether I will have the opportunity to read a real book in my lifetime. Sima Yuyu walked over and said with a smile, of course you can. You have to believe that in a world as large as this, even if I cannot do it, someone will be able to. I believe in you. If you cannot do it, then nobody else will be able to. Xianqiu he smiled like, you have such faith in me. Sima Yuyu smiled, let me examine the condition of your body. Alright. Xianqiu he stretched out his hand, allowing Sima Yuyu to take his pulse. Sima Yuyu examined his condition and was extremely shocked. How is it? Is there hope for me? Xianqiu he smiled lightly as he asked. Sima Yuyu kept her hands and said honestly, even after so many years have passed, I don't have a 100% chance of success. When Xianqiu he heard this, he was not disappointed. Initially, she had a 50% chance of success, but he didn't know how much she would be able to improve in these 5 years, as long as it's not less than before. His smile didn't falter. I have an 80% chance of success. As for the remaining 20%, it will depend on that thing in your body. Xianqiu he was stunned. It was 5 years, but her chances of success actually increased by 30%? Why did you say that the remaining 20% had to depend on the thing in my body? I haven't had the chance to interact with it and I don't know much about it. If it's too powerful, it might impact the treatment. After all, this treatment will suppress it somewhat. What Sima Yu didn't say was that she had a feeling that the seal in his body felt very familiar to her. Then I'll have to depend on you for the rest of the days. His smile was finally no longer a slight one. Sima Yu could feel that the aura on his body had actually lessened quite a bit. About that. Sima Yu glanced at Xianqiu. She moved her lips, and finally decided not to ask. Xianqiu knew what she was thinking. The divine medicine has already been kept in the treasure pavilion. I have already discussed it with my patriarch. Once you head over, he will give you the divine medicine. When Sima Yu heard what he said, she was a lot more relieved. Since the Xianqiu clan had said this, they probably would not renege. On the morning of the second day, Xianqiu led Sima Yu and her group outside of the city. Sima Yu knew that they were not located far from Declaration City because the teleportation array didn't take them too far. However, because she did not know the coordinates, she had no idea where they were right now. Later on, the group of them took a ride on some spirit beasts that had been prepared for them beforehand. They flew for a distance, then entered another area. Are all hidden families as secluded as yours? When she saw the extremely dense spirit energy, Han Miaoshuang smiled teasingly. We do have an advantage in this area. Xianqiu smiled lightly in response. Sima Yu smiled, but she didn't think that highly of it. Back when she had gone to the Feng clan, the environment was much better. However, she knew now why so many hidden families were increasingly powerful. Because Enlei's life was in Sima Yu's hands, this time when she appeared, Sima Yu got her to stay in the spirit pagoda to take care of Sima Luxian. When she saw Sima Yu sigh ruefully, she said, "Young miss, the Xianqiu clan is inside a little realm." Sima Yu was a little shocked. A little realm? She didn't feel any fluctuations of a little realm, though. The Xianqiu clan and the Eastern Lai clan do not live in independent realms like Little Black Lotus realm, but in small areas established in the spatial areas. Enlei explained, to be able to open an area in the spatial areas where people can live means that their ancestors must have been powerful. Sima Yu sighed. I heard that the ancestors of both clans were both emperor monarchs. The spaces must have been established by the emperor monarchs. Emperor monarchs. Sima Yu touched the devil snare bracelet on her wrist. No matter what identities they held, she definitely had to obtain the divine medicine. Xianqiu led them to the residential area, where it was said to contain 80% of their clan. It was on such a large scale that it was on par with a small city. We've been rushing for such a long time. You should rest first. I'll head to my patriarch to let them know that we're back. Xianqiu said to them. Then, some servant girls came forward and led them to the courtyards where guests resided in. Xianqiu was truly from a hidden family. Even though they were courtyards for guests, they were all decorated extremely well. All kinds of rare flora grew within the courtyards, and the paths were paved with cobblestones that had been carved with grindstones. The environment here isn't bad. It's such a good place. I wonder if all their guest rooms are like this or if this place is just particularly good? Jiang Junxian wondered. This is our best courtyard. One of the servant girls replied, the other places have been decorated exquisitely as well, but their lakes are not as good. The best courtyard? They exchanged glances with each other. This treatment was a little special. Yes. Our patriarch said that young Miss Yu has come to treat our young master, and is our distinguished guest. That is why we naturally arranged for the best courtyard. The servant girl smiled. Her attitude toward Sima Yu was of pure respect. Lady Yu, our matriarch has said that she hopes for you to treat this place like your own home. If you have any requests, please do your utmost to let us know. Another servant girl said. Their master had already prepared the best area for them, what more could she ask for? Lady Yu, you don't know this, but all the clansmen were overjoyed to hear that you were coming. Why is that so? Our young master is innately talented and is a child with a limitless future. It was a pity that he was unable to walk from his birth and that he could not see. A servant girl explained, although young master has never said so, we all know that he truly wishes to be like everyone else. When young master is like this, it causes our hearts to ache. That is why the whole clan wishes for young master to be well. Although a 50% chance of success is rather low, young master believes in you, so we do as well. Lady Yu, you definitely have to treat our young master of his illness. Sima Yu felt a little guilty under the fervent gaze of the servant girl. She smiled, I will definitely do my best. However, I cannot guarantee the result. We are rather aware of Lady Yu. To be able to say this means that there should be no issues. The other servant girl said with a smile. Sima Yu smiled, but she did not continue the conversation. The two servant girls left after taking them to the courtyard. They each chose a house for themselves, then gathered in Jiang Junxian's place. Sima Yu performed acupuncture for Jiang Junxian while Han Miaoshuang and Su Xiaoxiao watched from the side. Although they had seen her do it many times, whenever they saw Jiang Junxian with a head full of needles, they felt goosebumps rise. After Sima Yu's treatment, Jiang Junxian's condition had improved greatly. At the very least he did not randomly fall asleep everywhere. After sleeping, his mental condition would also be in a better state. It was not like he was in the past, where he would still be sleepy after waking up. However, he still spent most of his time sleeping. Once Sima Yu finished her acupuncture session, she took out some pills that she had refined and fed it to him. Only then did Han Miaoshuang and the others speak. Junior sister, when do you want to begin treatment for Xianqiu? Han Miaoshuang asked. The moment she had to start treatment for Xianqiu, if she also had to treat Jiang Junxian, they were afraid that she would become exhausted. I'm thinking that they will not let me start my treatment for Xianqiu yet. Sima Yu said as she walked to the table and poured some tea for herself. Why not? Xianqiu's body is in this kind of condition, but the Xianqiu clan still thinks of him as their young master. This proves that his position in the clan is very high and is highly valued by his clan. For a treasure like him, without a high chance of success, they will not take the risk. Sima Yu said confidently. You're saying that they have not yet decided whether or not to let you begin treatment for Zuosanqiu even up to this point in time? Han Miaoshuang frowned. She was rather angry towards their disbelief in her. There will probably be a few tests and things like that. Sima Yu guessed, but this is good as well. It is a crucial point in eldest senior's treatment, and I will be able to focus on things on this end. Junior sister, the Xianqiu clan has definitely gotten many people to try and treat Xianqiu before without any results. Do you have the confidence to treat him successfully? Su Xiaoxiao was rather worried. Senior brother, actually, Xianqiu's condition isn't complex. Sima Yu said, the reason those people are helpless to do anything is because they cannot do anything about that thing. That thing? That thing is sealed inside Xianqiu's brain. That thing is pressing on his nerves, which is why he cannot walk and cannot see. As long as you make that thing smaller, it will no longer press on his nerves and he will naturally recover. Sima Yu said, however, his nerves have been pressured for such a long time that it has been injured. It is only after it is healed that he can be considered to be completely well. That is why he still needs a bit of time in order to be able to see and walk. Since so many things are helpless against it, junior sister, do you have the assurance to deal with it? Previous chapter. 80%. Sima Yu said confidently. An 80% chance of success. This also meant that, when she had told Xianqiu about her 80% chance of success back then, it was completely based off her ability to deal with that seal. As long as she was able to deal with that, she had a 100% chance of success of treating his mind. Although it's not 100%, I feel like junior sister's 80% chance of success is equivalent to someone else's 100%. Han Miaoshuang had this level of faith in her. But, junior sister, what will you do if they renege when the time comes? Su Xiaoxiao asked. If they renege, I will naturally pay them back. However, I must get that divine medicine no matter what. Sima Yu's attitude was absolute. Since they had promised to give her the divine medicine in exchange for her treatment of Xianqiu, if they backed out, she would naturally have her own ways of obtaining that divine medicine. It was just that she didn't know if they would be able to deal with the consequence of that. Just like Sima Yu expected, the Xianqiu clansmen did not immediately call on her. They let her rest in her little courtyard, saying that they knew Sima Yu was treating her senior brother during this time and would talk about it again once she had finished. They clearly meant that she was not to multitask. They had expected this long ago, so Sima Yu and the rest were not bothered. If they really let Sima Yu treat Xianqiu's illness so easily, that would be the real cause of concern. In the blink of an eye, they had already stayed in the Xianqiu clan for 10 days. During this period of time, Xianqiu would come over every single day and chat with Sima Yu or take her around the clan to tour around. As for the fact that he was not taking her over to meet his clansmen, Xianqiu was very apologetic as he said, when I left, my mother had also gone out due to some issues regarding the clan. The matriarch of the clan was not around and others were not able to make the decision in her stead, so they could only delay this issue. Sima Yu expressed that she did not mind it, as she happened to need this time to treat Jiang Junxian. After this, she would be able to let go of Jiang Junxian's issue and treat Xianqiu's illness better. On this day, Sima Yu had just finished performing acupuncture for Jiang Junxian and had just covered his sleeping form with a blanket when Su Xiaoxiao entered, saying that the Xianqiu clansman had come. Senior sister has fed eldest senior brother his medicine. Stay here and take care of eldest senior brother. Sima Yu told Su Xiaoxiao. Whenever Jiang Junxian finished his acupuncture session, he would sleep for a period of time. Sima Yu said that it was good for him, and that it was the best for him to wake up naturally on his own. If he was woken up, the benefits would be greatly reduced. Su Xiaoxiao nodded and sat down beside the table. Sima Yu then went out alone. Outside the courtyard stood a lady with her hair tied into a matriarch's bun. When the lady heard sounds of movement, she turned around and saw Sima Yu. She smiled lightly, causing Sima Yu to recall a phrase. Time may pass but the years remain still. The lady was not particularly beautiful, but the impression she gave off was gentle and refined. When you looked at her, it caused one's heart to calm down. However, after seeing someone like Feng Ruyen, Sima Yu was merely a little stunned when she saw the lady. You must be Lady Yu. I am Here's mother. Sun Yue smiled lightly toward Sima Yu. Sima Yu took 2 steps forward and bowed to Sun Yue, saying, Yu greets aunt. At the same time, she sighed in her heart that it was no wonder Xianqiu had such an immortal-like vibe. It was inherited. Sun Yue went forward and pushed her up, saying, I went out a few days ago and only returned today. When I heard that you had arrived, I came over to take a look. It should have been me to go over and visit aunt, how could I let you come visit me? Sima Yu laughed a little sheepishly. Sun Yue appraised Sima Yu. Her gaze caused Sima Yu to feel a little awkward. Here said that he believes in your medical skills, so I have also chosen to believe you. Aunt, do you have something you wish to say to me? Sima Yu asked. People like her would always have a, but hidden at the end. It's like this. There is a servant girl by my side who has accompanied me since she was young. Later on, she was also the one to take care of here. She was injured in the past and suffers from some unmentionable disease. I was thinking of inviting you to take a look at her. Sun Yue said rather apologetically. Although doing this was not that straightforward, Xianqiu he was the apple of her eye. She didn't know much about Sima Yuyu, so she did not dare to leave him in her hands just like that. Sun Yuwei finished speaking and a female walked in front behind her. She bowed lightly to Sima Yuyu. Sun Yuwei said that she had grown up with her, which showed that she was around the same age as Sun Yuwei. However, her face was full of wrinkles and her hair was gray. She looked like an elderly old servant. If not because Sun Yuwei had said this, it would have been hard for her to imagine that they were around the same age. I do not have excessive expectations for her appearance to recover to how it used to be. As long as her body can recover and accompany me for a few more years, it will be enough. Sun Yuwei saw that Sima Yuyu looked contemplative and said. Sima Yuyu did not immediately promise anything as she said, and, I have to examine her first before I give you a response. Then I will have to trouble you to take a look at her. Sun Yuwei nodded her head. She was neither arrogant nor impatient, a lot better than people her age. Aunt, please come with me. Sima Yuyu led them to the guest hall before getting the servant girl to take a seat. She went to examine her body. After examining the body of the servant girl, she inwardly muttered, no wonder. To render even a hidden family helpless meant that the wound would not be small. The unmentionable disease of this auntie should have been plaguing her for a few hundreds of years already. Sima Yuyu said, during these few years, Aunt must have used many different medicines to preserve her life. However, even if that is the case, this aunt here will not live past 2 years. It's true. It was because she had rescued me. Sun Yuwei's eyes misted over as she said this. However, what surprised her was that Sima Yuyu's medicinal skills were so powerful. The doctors of the clan had said that this servant lady would not live past 2 years. In the beginning, Sun Yuwei did not really think of getting Sima Yuyu to treat her illness. After all, the doctors of their clan had already declared that she no longer had any hope. She merely wanted to test Sima Yuyu's ability to see how much she could diagnose. What she didn't expect was that Sima Yuyu was able to figure out the entire situation just from taking her pulse. Her medicinal skills were not inferior to their clan doctors in the least. At the same time, a faint trace of hope swelled in her heart. She looked at Sima Yuyu as she asked, Yuyu, seeing her situation, can she be saved? It's not that there is no way. It's just rather troublesome. Also, the cost will be rather high. Furthermore, it will be very difficult for her to regain her appearance. Sima Yuyu sighed. The way Sima Yuyu saw it, this servant lady's body was like a wooden casket with a hole. No matter how much water you filled it with, it would leak out. If she was to treat her, the amount of medicinal ingredients needed would not be easy. Sun Yuwei's eyes shone, treat her. No matter what it takes, you have to treat her. Yuyu, what do you need us to do? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Report chapter comments. At this point, Sima Yuyu did not care whether or not Sun Yuwei's intentions were genuine or fake. Since they wanted to test her abilities, there was no reason to hide. She prepared a list of the things they needed and handed it to Sun Yuwei. Sun Yuwei took a look at it as she got her men to prepare the needed items. She merely furrowed her eyebrows before turning her hand, passing it to a servant by the side and getting people to prepare them. And, this lady's body is in a large deficit. I have to let her recuperate for a few days before I can begin the treatment. Sima Yuyu said, that's good. I saw the ingredients that you need and there are a few of them that our clan does not possess. If we are to obtain them, we will need a bit of time. We will have to trouble you to help her body recuperate in the meantime. Sun Yuwei said with a smile. Sima Yuyu agreed. In any case, it was just a recuperation and was not the final treatment. She did not have to think too much about it. After obtaining the result that she wanted, Sun Yuwei stood up and said goodbye. After they left, Su Xiaoxiao walked in and asked, did they come to test you? Sima Yuyu nodded, they came to send over a person who has a thorny sickness. Su Xiaoxiao frowned, asking, are you confident? It's just that she hasn't recovered ever since she got injured. As long as they prepare the necessarily medicinal ingredients, I will be able to treat her. If their ingredients are incomplete, it will not have anything to do with me. Sima Yuyu shrugged. She wasn't worried at all. Su Xiaoxiao saw that Sima Yuyu had a card up her sleeve and didn't say anything more. After half a month passed, Sun Yuwei sent people to tell Sima Yuyu that she had already prepared the medicinal ingredients and was inviting her over. Sima Yuyu followed the servant girl over to a magnificent courtyard. As she walked in, she couldn't help but mumble about how it was just a courtyard but it was even more glamorous than an imperial court. The Xianqiu clan was really loaded. The servant girl led her to the hall. When she went in, she realized that apart from Sun Yuwei and the servant girl, there was also a group of people of all ages dressed in white. Those doctors looked at Sima Yuyu. Sun Yuwei watched as Sima Yuyu bowed to her and waved her hands, smiling, these are the doctors of our clan. They wished to watch as you perform your treatment and wanted to learn, so they came over. Sima Yuyu understood that learning was just one aspect of it, while the other reason was to supervise her. It seemed like these people were regarded rather highly in Sun Yuwei's heart. She looked at Sun Yuwei with some difficulty, it's not that I am unwilling, but when I perform my treatment, I have to perform acupuncture and will have to take off her clothes. If there are men around, it wouldn't be too good, right? If you have female doctors, they can stay. The doctors were initially rather angry, but when they heard her final sentence, they had to swallow their words. Could it be that they couldn't even see a lady's body? However, she had said that female doctors could remain behind, so she wasn't just avoiding them. That was because the Xianqiu clan had 2 female doctors. Sun Yuwei had long since heard of Sima Yuyu's method of acupuncture. When she heard her say this, she felt like she was making things difficult on purpose, but she unexpectedly nodded and said, "Then just let these ladies watch you." The servant girl led them to a room by the side. Some soft material was prepared inside there and Sima Yu got the servant lady to lie on it. Then, she helped her take off her clothes. The servant lady was a bit awkward in the beginning, but a doctor said that in front of doctors, all bodies were the same. The treatment of the body was still the most important thing, so she finally stripped off all her clothes. "My two seniors, if you wish to watch me, in a moment, no matter what I do, please do not say a word. If I lose focus halfway, I do not have to warn you of the consequence. Whether the life of this auntie can be preserved will be down to your abilities." After Sima Yu gave them a word of warning, she took out her needles. These two lady doctors had long since heard that there was a method of acupuncture outside. It was a pity that they had never seen it before. Being able to see Sima Yu take out these needles today made both of them rather excited. However, this excitement quickly turned into anxiety because they realized that the places Sima Yu had placed her needles in were the lethal points of the human body. One of them was about to cry out and stop it, but was stopped by the other one who even shook her head at her. Although Sima Yu's speed wasn't slow, she still had to pay some attention to the two beside her. She had seen all of their reactions, but as long as they did not interfere with her acupuncture, she would not bother about them. After 2 hours, Sima Yu's acupuncture session was finished. After she had retrieved the final needle, she instructed them, help her put on her clothes. As the two doctors helped her put on her clothes, they also took her pulse. They exchanged glances with each other, but their eyes revealed their shock. She had merely done 1 session of acupuncture, but her condition had improved by 30%. Sima Yu kept her needles away before saying to the both of them, "I am going to report the outcome to Aunt, are you going to come with me?" The both of them had no interest in little things like these. Since they had come to test her medical skills, they definitely had to examine her condition. "Alright, let's head out together." She returned to the hall and Sima Yu didn't think that not a single one of those people had left. Yu, how was it?" Sun Yue asked her rather anxiously. "The process went rather smoothly. I have already fed her the pills and only need a few more sessions to treat her." Sima Yu replied. "Then how is her condition?" The one who asked the question was a doctor. "You can see for yourself how her condition is." Sima Yu ignored their probing gazes as she said to Sun Yue, "Aunt, the next acupuncture session will be in 3 days. I am rather tired, so I will head back to rest first." Sun Yue could see that her complexion wasn't too good as she nodded, "You should head back to rest." Sima Yu bowed, then turned around to leave. After Sima Yu left, Sun Yue asked the two doctors what happened inside. The two doctors naturally told her everything that they had seen. After hearing that her condition had improved by 30% although Sima Yu had only done 1 session of acupuncture and fed her 1 round of pills, the other doctors didn't believe it. "You'll know whether to believe it or not after you go inside and see," Sun Yue said. She didn't think that all the doctors in the hall would be unwilling to believe it. They all ran inside and took her pulse for themselves. She actually did recover by 30%. Based on her current condition, she can live for a few tens of years. It seems like the acupuncture treatment method is as mysterious as we heard. This means that that brat really has the ability to treat people. If it carries on this way, that is likely. So you're saying that there is hope to cure young master's illness. This acupuncture method is so mysterious. We wonder if she will be willing to teach it. If we can learn this acupuncture method, let's ask her another day. Sima Yu directly headed back to the courtyard in which she resided. She had no idea that those people were interested in her acupuncture. However, she knew that she would not regret using this method in front of them. The divine medicine. She definitely had to obtain it. For the rest of the days, apart from doing acupuncture for Jiang Junxian, she would also have to go to Sun Yue's courtyard from time to time. After a month passed, the servant lady's condition had already improved by half. This caused the people in the Xianqiu clan to believe in Sima Yu's medical abilities. At the same time, they also started to have their own plans. On this day, Sima Yu came out from Sun Yue's courtyard and was stopped halfway. "Lady Yu." Sima Yu saw the people in front of her, and she recognized one of the doctors of the Xianqiu clan, Xianqiu Rong. However, she didn't have any good impression of him so she nodded her head, which was considered as a reply. "Lady Yu, are you going to return? Why don't I walk you back?" Xianqiu Rong said. "There is no need. I have traversed this many times and am already familiar with it. If there is nothing else, I will head back first." Xianqiu Rong was rather angry, however, he did not show it. When he saw that Sima Yu didn't seem to want to waste words, he told her about his motive directly. "Young Miss Yu, I came to look for you today because I have something I wish to discuss with you." Sima Yu saw the greed in his eyes and sneered inwardly. She didn't say anything. This Xianqiu Rong had initially snubbed her, but he probably changed his mindset to ask her about her acupuncture method. Xianqiu Rong saw that she didn't say anything, and was raging internally. If the average person saw her acting this way, they wouldn't continue. Sima Yu continued to look apathetically at him. She still didn't say anything, showing that she was not interested in this deal of his at all. "Lady Yu, I wish to use my arts in manual therapy in exchange for your acupuncture methods. What do you think?" Sima Yu glanced at him and could no longer continue pretending to smile. She said solemnly, "Dr. Rong, everyone knows how powerful these acupuncture methods are, right? As for your arts in manual therapy, let's not talk about the fact I already know it. Even if I didn't, I wouldn't make this deal with you. Then what will help you make this deal? This has been taught to me by my master. He gave orders that there must only be one single origin. I cannot tell it to anyone else. Dr. Rong, my deepest apologies. I still have to head back to perform treatment for my senior brother, goodbye. After speaking, she walked past Xian Qiurong and headed directly to the courtyard in which she resided. The place that they were at was not far from the courtyard. The moment Sima Yuyu entered, she saw Su Xiaoxiao and the other two with dark expression. Sima Yuyu was scared by the way they looked and asked, what's going on? Did the Xianqiu clansmen bully you? Could it be that they took advantage of the time where she was not around to run over here? What do you mean they bullied us? They obviously bullied you. Han Miaoshuang walked over, then poked her forehead with a finger, look at you. Your medicinal arts are so powerful, so how could you not hide it from them? That's great then, people are starting to plot against you. When Sima Yuyu heard what she said, she heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as they were not getting bullied. Senior sister, if they didn't see my medicinal skills, they would never let me perform treatment for Xian Qiuhe. As for me, I have to obtain that divine medicine. Sima Yuyu sighed, my father has already been back for many years. Without the spirit energy to use any skills, his body is aging. I can wait no longer. Sima Lu Xian could not cultivate, and his lifespan was even half of that of an average person. She had already wasted so many years, and did not have much time to find any other way for him. Even Wu Lingyu only knew of this one method, so she could only take this path. When they saw that Sima Yuyu's expression wasn't great, Han Miaoshuang and the others swallowed the rest of their words. It was finally Su Xiaoxiao who said something, junior sister, you shouldn't just see how Xian Qiuhe is a decent guy. All of those from the hidden families are like these. They are all unbearably arrogant, and are not worth making acquaintances with. I know. Sima Yuyu knew this as well. At that time, she had interacted with the Northern Du clan and the Eastern Lai clan. She naturally knew that the people from the hidden families were not nice to interact with. People like Xian Qiuhe were really the minority. You can relax. Although these people covet my skills, without me performing treatment on Xian Qiuhe, they will not dare to act against me. But these people hover around outside all day. Just looking at them hurts my eyes. It's a good thing that senior brother has already finished the first part of his treatment. He will not need constant acupuncture from now on. The test is almost over as well. What I'm afraid of is that they will do something before we leave. Although they knew that the Feng clan was in her little realm, Sima Yuyu did not tell them of the Feng clan's origins. They only knew that those people were very powerful, but they had no idea whether or not they could suppress the hidden families. Let's talk about the later things later. Sima Yuyu couldn't spell it out so clearly, so she could only ask them not to think so much about it. On that day, Xian Qiuhe came looking for Sima Yuyu. It was to apologize on behalf of that doctor who had asked to exchange his medical skills with Sima Yuyu. Sima Yuyu straightforwardly told him that it had nothing to do with him, so he had no reason to be apologetic. Then, told him about how she couldn't spread her arts outside. Then, she told him that she believed that the Xian Qiu clan would not do anything to trouble her. Xian Qiu he directly promised that these sorts of things would no longer happen. 3 days later, after she had performed the last set of acupuncture for the servant lady, she instructed her not to stop eating her medicine for the rest of the year. Then, her mission was considered to be complete. Sun Yue saw that her servant lady's condition got increasingly better and truly believed in Sima Yuyu's medicinal skill. Lady Yuyu, since this situation has already been settled, you may start treatment for here in 2 days. Do you need to prepare anything? Sima Yuyu shook her head, saying, I've been researching his condition for a few years, and I've already prepared all the things that need to be prepared. How do you plan to conduct his treatment? Sun Yue was still rather worried. Actually, the most difficult part of his treatment will be to get rid of the seal in his body. As long as I can make it smaller and stop it from pressing on his nerves, he will naturally be able to walk and see. Sima Yuyu said. I heard here say that you have an 80% chance of success. Sima Yuyu nodded. How long do you need? 10 days. You only need 10 days. She took around 2 months to treat her servant lady, but she only needed 10 days to treat Xian Qiuhe. The truth is, I need 1 day to deal with that thing, and the remaining 9 days are just to heal his nerves. That will not impact his seal, right? Aunt, you can relax. This will only seal that thing tighter. After all, after making it smaller, its impact will be reduced as well. Since that's the case, you can begin treatment in 2 days. Sima Yuyu indicated that she agreed, then turned around to leave. Previous chapter. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. This time, Sima Yuyu did not head to Sun Yue's courtyard. Earlier on when Xian Qiuhe had led her around the clan, he had taken her to his courtyard before. Once she arrived at Xian Qiuhe's place, there were already many people around the area. Aside from doctors, there were also those she had never seen before. Inside the guest hall, Sun Yue sat at the head seat and Xian Qiuhe took the seat behind her. The seat beside Sun Yue was empty. She saw that Sima Yuyu had hovered at the empty chair for a moment, so Sun Yue said rather apologetically, our patriarch has gone out for some issues and has yet to return. Sima Yuyu was taken aback. During her treatment of Xian Qiuhe, his father, who was the head, actually wasn't around. She saw the smile on Sun Yue's face and somehow felt like this mother may have intentionally chosen this period of time. It seemed like her thoughts had been exposed, but Sun Yue's smile did not falter. His father is not really in favor of this. He is not around, and my words are law. Sima Yuyu pursed her lips. Weren't mothers usually the more protective ones? This mother seemed like she wasn't hesitant at all. Wasn't she afraid that she would turn her son into a cripple? However, this was their own issue. Aunt, can we begin? When you perform your treatment, we have to be present. Sima Yuyu shook her head. The entire process requires my extreme concentration. I cannot be disturbed in the slightest. This junior cannot agree. It must be done even if it cannot be done. The seal is of utmost importance. If anything goes wrong, will you be able to take responsibility? The attitude of the white-bearded elder was rather forceful, and his words were very discourteous. Not possible. Sima Yuyu did not back down either. Child, can you not be a little flexible? Sun Yue wanted to go in as well. We promise not to speak, and not to disturb you. And, the proceedings are too sensitive and there is no margin for error. If you worry about your seal, I can promise you that even if the outcome is unsuccessful the seal will not be released. Sima Yu said. Not possible. The elder of the Xianqiu clan was obstinate. If you do not agree, then this junior cannot act. Are you threatening us? His icy tone. However, Sima Yu shook her head. This carries a high amount of risk and I need the highest level of concentration. I even have to use my mind to control it. If I am impacted, I will face severe repercussions. If my mind is injured, my brain will shatter and I will turn into an idiot. I seek the forgiveness of Aunt and of the few elders. This junior cannot shoulder the risk. When she heard about the serious repercussions, Sun Yue was hesitant. Mother, let us do as Yu says. Xianqiu he said, I believe her and I do not want to pass up this opportunity. Sun Yue looked at Xianqiu he and sighed lightly, feeling like a mother who had to marry off her daughter. They had initially agreed that they would definitely have to watch by the side. Who would have thought that he would have sold out his clansmen in the blink of an eye? Since even you've said this, then do as you wish, matriarch. The elders wanted to stop this, but Sun Yue waved her hands and interrupted them. Xianqiu he pushed his wheelchair in front of Sima Yu and smiled lightly at her. Let's go. Alright. Sima Yu came in front of him and pushed his chair over to a room that had been prepared by the side. She appreciated the support that he was showing her. If he did not agree, then she would have had no other options today. The both of them came to the room and closed the door with a click, leaving everyone outside. Then, Sima Yu set up a barrier. Let's add another layer to it. Xianqiu he set up one as well. It was of a higher rank than hers, so the people outside wouldn't even be able to use their divine senses to check the situation. Those elders were locked outside, and they all gathered in the courtyard. Young master has set up a barrier. It seems he won't even let us check in on the situation. Sigh. Their young master was the most adept at using barriers in their clan. Without his permission, nobody would be able to check anything. Matriarch, if Patriarch returns, will it? Will what? Sun Yue said lightly, by the time he returns, the situation would have been resolved and he wouldn't be able to say anything. But Patriarch, relax. If anything happens, I will take responsibility. Sun Yue had steeled her heart to get Xianqiu he treated. She was the most familiar with her son. When those elders heard what she said, they looked at each other with dismay. Suddenly, an overbearing aura came from nearby. Sun Yue was stunned when she saw who had come. Her rage passed in the blink of an eye and a smile hung upon her face. She said to the one who had come, Master, didn't you say that you had things to do? How did you end up coming home at this time? Xianqiu Fu she glanced icily at her as he huffed, no matter how important it is, it's not as important as Xianqiu he. Where is here? Sun Yue could sense his anger and pointed at Xianqiu he's room. Seeing that Xianqiu Fu she was about to head inside, she hurriedly stopped him. Master, you cannot. Why not? I told you before that I didn't agree, and you did it behind my back. Do you want to kill here? Xianqiu Fu she cried out in rage. Master. Sun Yue suddenly raised her voice as she looked at the man in front of her with heartache. He is my son, and my heart hurts beyond compare. How could I wish him harm? He has always wished to be able to walk and see. Xianqiu Fu she interrupted her, scolding her. After so many years, we've looked for so many doctors, have you not yet given up? If others knew about the thing sealed in his body, do you know what would happen? She knows that there is something sealed inside Xianqiu he's body. However, as long as she does not release that seal, she will not find out anything. That seal was made by us, do you think she would be able to release it? Sun Yue was not afraid of his anger and retorted. You still can't take that risk. Xianqiu Fu she wanted to rush inside the house after saying that. Too late. Xianqiu Fu she stopped. He turned around and glared at Sun Yue. What do you mean? Sun Yue smiled lightly. Master, can't you sense it? Here's barrier. So what if I can? Yu said that, the moment she begins, the slightest bit of interference will affect them. The area she is working on is Here's brain. This barrier was set up by Here. If you attack it, Here will definitely be injured. They have already gone in for a long time, so I fear she would have already started her treatment. Xianqiu Fu she caused the temperature around them to fall by a few degrees as he shot icy glares towards Sun Yue. Master, there's no need to glare at me. It's useless even if you glared at me. Although Xianqiu Fu she was scary, Sun Yue wasn't afraid of him at all as she beamed at him. Xianqiu Fu she's rage turned into helplessness. When she saw him this way, Sun Yue's smile deepened and she stepped forward to hold onto her arm, saying, All right, Master. Since things have already reached this stage, you can just accept it. I believe in Here decision. Xianqiu Fu she sighed, asking, How long do they need? Yu said that they would need around 1 day. Then you can stay here. The rest of them are to come with me. Xianqiu Fu she led those people to the hall and Sun Yue stopped smiling. Her eyes were filled with worry. She said that she was confident and acted casual earlier, but she was very worried about the safety of her son. How could she really be so relaxed? The two of them inside the house had no idea what happened outside. At this moment, Xianqiu he was sitting in a bath bucket and he was sitting in some liquid from the chest down. Above it were many needles. Big brother later on, I will have to begin acupuncture on your head and reduce the size of that thing. It may bring a bit of pain, but you have to hold on. Sima Yu took out her long needles and stood behind Xianqiu he. When she heard him reply, she began the acupuncture on the crown of his head. Xianqiu he didn't expect Sima Yu to start from the point at the top of his head. This was connected to his brain. The moment it was injured, his consciousness would shatter along with it. However, he merely hesitated for a short moment and forced himself not to move. Sima Yu was a little touched. He really believed fully in her and handed his life into her hands. After she was done with the crown on his head, she finally asked, "You believe in me that much? If I wanted to act against you, you would have been in danger." Xianqiu he smiled, saying, "I know you wouldn't." Sima Yu didn't know why he believed in her so much. Even if she was against him, she couldn't do anything. "I'm going to continue." Later on, the two of them did not speak anymore. Sima Yu placed tens of needles on his head. It was less in number when compared to Jiang Junxian, but she was more tired because it took a bigger toll on her mentally. She even had to pay constant attention to his seal. The thing that was being sealed seemed to sense that it was dangerous, and started to become restless in Xianqiu's brain. Sima Yu saw that Xianqiu he was turning pale one moment and red the next, and knew that he was definitely suffering now. "Big brother I will insert my consciousness into your brain in a moment. Don't resist me." She saw Xianqiu he nod imperceptibly, and hurriedly entered his brain. At this moment, his sea of consciousness was like a roaring sea. Even if it was him, he was not going to be able to hold on for long. In the middle of his sea of consciousness there was a milky white item floating there. It was even shining with a faint golden light. The golden light was not fused to the item, proving that this was the item that was being sealed away. She acted and attacked that item. When her mind got into contact with that seal, the familiar feeling came back to her. It seemed like she knew what it was. It seemed like she ought to know. And when that seal sensed Sima Yu's aura, it became even more restless, causing Xianqiu's sea of consciousness to become even more chaotic. However, Sima Yu felt like it was suffering before, but now it seemed to be excited. Excited? How could it be? However, no matter how she sensed it, she still felt like it was truly excited. Could it be that it recognized her? However, when she thought about it, it wasn't possible. That meant that it was acquainted with something in her body. However, whether or not it was familiar, it wouldn't change her aim today. She bent 5 of her fingers, and each of them shone with a light fluorescence before condensing into threads. As her 5 fingers moved, they weaved together and formed a silver net. Go dash. She tossed the net over to that thing, and the net seemed a little afraid of that thing and directly trapped it. That thing tried to struggle, but Sima Yu wanted it to stay together. They were trapped in a deadlock and Sima Yu was beginning to feel tired. It was a good thing that the person outside had each needle placed in, making it easier for her. The net that was outside the seal also tightened. However, the other party didn't surrender completely. Sima Yu gave a thought and formed a fireball. Because of her contract, the fireball had little birdie's aura. You should obediently stay inside there. Otherwise, I'll burn you into a pile of ashes. Sima Yu threatened, don't think that I don't have any way to deal with you just because I don't want to harm him. If it comes down to it, I'll just deal with you and him at the same time. I'm still young, anyway. My medical skills have room to grow. Although killing you will hurt him, it's not like I don't have any hope of curing him. Who knows, I may be able to uproot you entirely. After she said this, it was unknown whether or not he felt threatened by her words or whether it was due to another reason, but he really began to shrink. As he shrunk, the seal shrunk as well and the net also shrunk. Who dash? When she saw the guy shrink by half, Sima Yu let out a long breath. It was finally complete. However, before she left, she glanced at the guy that had been sealed with curiosity. When she had used her divine senses to examine Xianqiu's body, she couldn't hold on anymore and her body became weak. She fell weakly beside the bath bucket. She took out some pills and ate it, then stopped for a moment before using the bath bucket as a support to stand. I'll take out the needles. By the time she was done, Xianqiu opened his eyes but it was still a patch of darkness. He sensed that Sima Yu's aura was off and suppressed his disappointment, supporting himself with the bath bucket. He asked, are you alright? Sima Yu shook her head. Thinking about how he still couldn't see for now, she rather weakly told him that she was alright. I can hear that your aura is a little off. It's fine. I just used a bit too much mental energy. Sima Yu said, right now, I've already pushed back the seal. Your nerves have just been pressured for too long, which is why you cannot immediately see. Xianqiu he could hear that her voice was weak, but did not speak intermittently. This proved that she was still alright. Then how long will it be before I can see? It will depend on your recuperation. Sima Yu said, however, it will not take more than 10 days at most. If you recover well, you should be able to in 3 to 5 days. Many thanks. Will the rest of the days be like today? You just have to eat pills for the next few days. We don't have to do this anymore. Sima Yu pulled him up from the water. He was still wearing his pants, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about. She placed him on the bed. It was her first time carrying a male in a princess carry. You should rest well. Eat this pill every day. You might even be able to see in the blink of an eye. I'll head back first. Sima Yu turned around to leave after speaking, but she didn't expect him to hold her hand tightly. Sima Yu turned back, lowered her head and looked at him, asking, what's wrong? It was only then that Xianqiu he realized that he had gone a bit overboard. He relaxed his hand and said rather sheepishly, that, will I really be able to see? Sima Yu initially thought that something had happened. She didn't think that he was just worried about this. Afraid of hoping only to be disappointed. Reals, you will. She said confidently, believe me. Xianqiu he heard how confident she was and didn't say anything more. He closed his eyes and rested. Earlier on, even though Sima Yu had exerted herself, he didn't feel well either and was rather tired. Sima Yu opened the door and went out. She saw Sun Yue with another man that she had never seen before, staying outside. These 2 days, Sun Yue had remained outside without moving an inch. Thinking about how Sima Yu had said that she only needed a day but it had been from the morning of yesterday to today, it was almost 2 days. Could it be that something unexpected had occurred? It was only when Sima Yu opened the door and she saw the smile on her face that she managed to calm down. Child, how is here? Aunt, relax. It went smoothly. Sima Yu took out a jade bottle and placed it in Sun Yue's hand. The seal no longer presses on his nerves. However, if he wants to see and walk, his nerves need to recover. He has to take 1 pill a day. Even after he can see, he has to finish the dosage. Sun Yue finally relaxed when she heard that everything had gone smoothly. She took the pill. I will get him to eat this daily. Then I'm going back to rest. In 2 days, I will come and check on his condition. Go in and take a look. Xian Qiu Fu Shi entered the room with large strides and saw Xian Qiu He lying on the table. His expression was rather complex. Father, mother. Xian Qiu He's voice was weak. Ever since he had grown up, this was the first time that Xian Qiu Fu Shi actually decided to swallow his chiding words. Let me examine you. Xian Qiu Fu Shi walked to the bedside and said. He said that he was examining him, but he was merely ascertaining the condition of the seal. He saw that the seal was intact and there were no traces of removal before he retreated. How about it? I told you that there would be no issues with the seal, right? Sun Yue pulled him up and sat beside the bed herself. She held on to Xian Qiu's hand, asking, how are you? Mother, I'm fine. I'm just a little tired. Xian Qiu he replied. Then you should rest well. I will get people to guard outside. Xian Qiu he fell into a deep sleep after speaking. Once he had fallen asleep, the two of them went out. They instructed the servant girls to guard the outside and told them to pay. Sima Yu returned to the courtyard. Jiang Junxian and the rest wanted to leave the room when they saw that her complexion wasn't too good, so they went up to support her. I'm alright. I just used a bit too much mental energy. I'm a lot better after eating pills. Han Miaoshuang and the others knew that Xian Qiu's condition was not easy to treat, and were not surprised that she was like this. You couldn't have come back after resting first. Sima Yu shook her head. When I emerged, I saw a male. He should have been Xian Qiu's father. He made me feel a little uncomfortable, so I came back. Then you should rest in the house. They didn't ask her how it went. Her complexion didn't look good, but she wasn't worried or upset, which meant that it should have succeeded. Sima Yu began to sleep when she reached her room. By the time she woke up, it was already the second day. She did not head over to see Xian Qiu He immediately. His condition had already stabilized and only had to eat pills, so there would be no issues there. It was only on the 5th day that she decided to head over to Xian Qiu He's courtyard. Xian Qiu He had also awoken on the 2nd day. He asked around and heard that Sima Yu had not come by, so he continued to sleep. On the 3rd day, she had not come over either and he felt a little disappointed. By the 5th day, he finally sensed her aura. How do you feel? Sima Yu asked as she took his pulse. Nothing much. I just felt a little uncomfortable lying on the bed. Xian Qiu he said with a light smile. The meridian channels on your leg are recovering, the bends are not too good. You should be able to go down in 2 days. Sima Yu said. So this means that I'll be able to see soon. Xian Qiu He's voice was a little emotional. Your nerves have recovered pretty well. I predict that you'll only need another 2 to 3 days. However, you have to continue eating the pills. Sima Yu said. Alright. Then I'll come again in 2 days. I'll have to trouble you. What trouble is that? Sima Yu smiled. You are my patient. When we met in Cloud Sea City, I always wanted to cure your legs and eyes. Now, I'm finally about to succeed. It's also like an exchange for myself. You already wanted to heal me since back then? That's right. At that time when I examined you, I realized that I was still powerless and wanted to improve my medical skills. Why? Why did she care so much about him? Sima Yu thought about it and said, I have this feeling that, for someone as good as you are, you should be someone who is completely well. The most important reason was that you are my friend, not my enemy. Back then, she felt like he was an immortal-like person and her heart ached that he had eyes that did not let him see. Thank you. Xian Qiu He smile deepened. Thinking about her motive this time, she hesitated before she said, Big brother He, I'm going to enter your sea of consciousness again and take a look to confirm the condition of your seal. Can I? Xian Qiu He nodded. When Sima Yu inserted her consciousness in, he did not resist. This time, when Sima Yu entered Xian Qiu He's sea of consciousness, the seal remained peacefully inside. When it saw Sima Yu enter, it moved. Sima Yu came beside it and carefully observed the seal. She saw that the seal was a little dull and heaved a soft sigh. When she emerged, Xian Qiu He opened his eyes and asked, Why did you sigh? Her consciousness was inside him, so he naturally heard it. Who made the seal for you? Sima Yu asked. My father and the clansmen. Why? Sima Yu kept watching him. She saw that he was only shocked for a short moment and was not too surprised. Aren't you worried? I actually guessed it as well. Xian Qiu he said, I could sense that the seal had been loosening these years. If not because of the fortuitous encounter I had in the immortal lands that suppressed it somewhat, I'm afraid that it would have already. Then do you know what is being sealed? It's not anything good. Xian Qiu he said, otherwise, why would they seal it away? That's not a given. Sima Yu saw that he was not worried and felt like she did not need to worry too much, it was sealed away since you were born. That might mean that it was because it was too oppressive and your body was unable to handle it at that time, so they sealed it away. Now, the condition of your body and strength may be able to withstand that power. I hope that's the case. Xian Qiu he smiled, not speaking more about it. Sima Yu knew that he didn't want to continue the conversation on this topic. After all, this was his secret. I'll be heading back first. I'll come again in 2 days. All right. Xian Qiu he stopped smiling once she left. Power that he could not withstand? He wished it were true. He was unable to cultivate and unable to get off the bed, so he continued to sleep. In another 2 to 3 days, he would be able to see the world and know what colors meant. He would finally know what the blue sky and white clouds looked like. After sleeping for 2 days, by the time he opened his eyes, he saw the blue bedsheet. He could see the colors clearly, and he was so stunned that he fell into a daze. A servant girl happened to come in and saw Xian Qiu's eyes. She stepped forward and said, "Master, it's time to take your medicine." "What color is this?" Xian Qiu he asked. "What?" The servant girl couldn't react for a moment. "I said, what color is this?" Xian Qiu he pointed at the bedsheet, lifting up his head to look at her. The servant girl was shocked as she finally said excitedly, "Young master, you can see? I'm going to tell the matriarch." After saying this, she turned around and ran out. "In any case, just tell me what color it is." Xian Qiu he laughed. He lifted his legs and realized that he could move them. He exerted a bit of energy and sat up. He looked at his hands, then at his legs. With a light push, he got off the bed. He tried taking 2 steps forwards and then stopped where he was. "I can really see and walk," he muttered. He couldn't hold back a smile. He walked out of the room and stood at the door. He looked at the trees and grass in the courtyard, then raised his head to look at the blue sky and clouds. Blue. So it turned out that the bedsheets were blue. It was the same color as the sky. When Sun Yue and the others arrived, they saw Xian Qiu he standing there in a daze. They noticed that he was in a daze and his shoulders were light. It was probably the first time he had ever experienced this in his entire life. She immediately smiled. "Here." She called out lightly. "Mother." Xian Qiu he felt like his mother was really beautiful. "You can see and walk?" Xian Qiu Fu she asked. "I can, father." "That's good." Sun Yue looked excitedly at her son. It had been so many years. He was finally able to see what the world was like. The smile on Xian Qiu's face was light, but he could feel true joy from the bottom of his heart. "Invite Lady Yu over. Get her to take a look at here," Sun Yue said to the servant girl. Although it was good that he was able to see, it would still be better to do a thorough check. When Sima Yu arrived, Xian Qiu he had already calmed down. However, she could still sense that he was in a good mood. "Lady Yu, here can see and can walk. We called you here today because we wanted you to make sure that he's doing well," Sun Yue said. "All right." Sima Yu came to Xian Qiu's side and got him to stick out his hand to take his pulse. Xian Qiu's eyes landed on her the moment she entered the room, but he immediately looked away again. Right now, she was in front of him and he could clearly see what she looked like. Sima Yu took his pulse then said to Su Yue, "And, big brother, he is already almost fully healed. He only needs to take the remaining 3 pills. "That's good, that's good." Sun Yue clapped her hands happily. Sima Yu saw how happy she was and was rather embarrassed. However, the issue was urgent, and she still decided to say it. "Uncle, aunt. We agreed beforehand that you would give me the divine medicine upon my successful treatment of big brother he. Now that he is well, I wonder when I will be able to obtain that divine medicine." The moment she said this, the house fell into silence. Xian Qiu Fuxi's expression was dark, and he was even secretly a little angry. Sun Yue's expression was stiff as well. "About that, the divine medicine is in the secret treasure pavilion. We need 3 keys in order to open it, so we don't have a way to take it now. You can return for now. Once we obtain the key, we will go to the secret treasure pavilion. How about it?" Sima Yu looked at Xian Qiu he. She saw that he nodded, so she knew that this was true. She could only agree and return to her courtyard. When she returned, she told Su Xiao and the others what happened. Han Miao Shuang slapped the table and said, "They obviously knew that you had succeeded, but didn't take the initiative to bring out the divine medicine. Do they plan on backing out?" "What did Xian Qiu he say?" Jiang Junxian asked. "He also said that they would need 3 keys simultaneously. However, some elders are still in seclusion to refine pills, so we need to wait 2 days." Sima Yu said. "I feel like they just don't want to hand it over," Han Miao Shuang said with dissatisfaction. "Let's observe the situation." Although Sima Yu didn't want to think of the worst-case scenario, Sun Yue and Xian Qiu Fuxi's attitude was truly not too good. "I have already gotten my bees to investigate. I hope that they will not bring me the worst outcome." After all, it was a divine medicine and not just anybody could bear to part with it. Especially since Xian Qiu he was already treated. Even if they backed out, his body was already well. After 3 days, Xian Qiu's guard told her that the elder who was refining pills was out and she was to head to the hall. He rushed over there as well. "We'll go with you," Jiang Junxian said. Previously, whenever she went out, they would stay in the courtyard. However, it was different this time. They didn't know what kind of circumstances she would face when they went there. If they handed it over directly, it would be good. If they reneged, based on Yu's temper, there would be no room for discussion. Sima Yu thought of this point as well, so she agreed to his suggestion. She led them to the hall. Inside the hall, it was currently extremely chaotic. Everyone was unwilling to hand the divine medicine over to Sima Yu. Sun Yue was enraged as she shouted at everyone, "You already agreed before this that if she was able to treat here, we would give her the divine medicine. Why are you going back on your words now? Who knew that she would really be able to treat the young master?" Someone muttered, exposing what they really thought. "What do you mean by that? When you suggested using this in exchange, we never thought that she would actually be able to treat the young master. If she didn't succeed, wouldn't this trade have been voided? So they didn't intend to give her the divine medicine right from the start?" Sun Yue was angered by their answer, so she turned her head and looked at her husband and said, "Master, what do you think?" Xian Qiu Fu Qi took a glance at her and said with a low voice, "The divine medicine belongs to the clan. Since everyone is in agreement, we can't harm the interest of the clan just because of one selfish desire." Sun Yue looked at her husband in disbelief as she didn't expect that he would say such a thing. "Since when did our clan go back on our own words? Patriarch, matriarch, it's not that you can't give her the divine medicine. It wouldn't be complicated if she was a part of the clan." Xian Qiuji said. "Become a part of the clan?" Everyone was blanked. "Yes." Xian Qiuji continued, "Everyone has seen you use talent, it will be beneficial for the clan if she is able to join our clan. And the divine medicine wouldn't land in the hands of others. Also, I can see that the young master is devoted to her." This. Sun Yue was hesitating. She was thinking about easternly Li. Initially, her background and identity could match up to here. "Matriarch, I know you were thinking of easternly Li, but according to what happened, I don't think she is suitable to be the future matriarch. Her talents are indeed too strong, her divine vermilion bird itself could summon many birds and it's enough to counter all the forces. It would be a good idea if she could be one of the clan members." "I agree too. If she can be a part of the clan, I won't go against giving her the divine medicine. It can be considered. It will be a good news to her if she can be the next matriarch." Everyone voiced out that they were happy to have Sima Yu as a part of the clan. Sun Yue was a little reluctant, this was actually a good idea. Also, he liked her so much, he wouldn't mistreat her if he married her. Sima Yu's vicious currents were on the verge of breaking out while walking midway as her face sunk. The guards felt weird as they turned their heads around to take a look, but 4 of them didn't find anything weird so they continued walking. They probably sensed it wrongly. Jiang Junxian and the others knew that things would become troublesome when she saw her expression. Yu. Sima Yu lifted her head and saw Xian Qiu coming from another road. She knew that Xian Qiu was not to blame for what happened, but she was furious just thinking about what she heard. "Big brother have you eaten the last 3 pills? Xian Qiu nodded and told the guards, "You guys can go, I'll take her from here." "Yes, young master." After the guards left, Xian Qiu walked towards Sima Yu, held her hand and put something in her hand. Sima Yu's pupil shrunk and looked at him shockingly, "This. I believe you'll have a solution." "Solution?" Xian Qiu said as he smiled with guilt on his face. Sima Yu kept the item and asked, "You knew about it?" "I can guess. Pass it back to me if I'm wrong." "Let's go, their discussion is almost done." Xian Qiu turned around and walked away after he spoke. He sensed that Sima Yu were standing there as he turned around and said, "Let's go." Sima Yu chased and smiled, "Thank you. You don't have to thank me, this is originally yours. If I guessed it right, you might need to take some effort to get this. This is only applicable if I'm right. But, I still have to thank you." Sima Yu smiled, "I'm still your friend no matter how your clan acts." Xian Qiu nodded as he saw the smile on her face, "All right." There was a result to the discussion when they reached the hall. Uncle, aunt. Sima Yu, Jiang Junxian and the others bowed in greeting. They were still on good terms now so they had to stick to the formalities. "Father, mother, have you prepared the divine medicine?" Xian Qiu said. "This. Here, you know that divine medicine can only be used on the clan members. Young lady Yu isn't a clan member." Xian Qiu Fu Qi said. "Father, this isn't what you said earlier on." Xian Qiu glanced at him, "You said you will give her the divine medicine if she cured me. This is an exchange, but we can't harm the interest of the whole clan just because of you." He didn't think that an obedient son like him would go against him in front of everyone, so Xian Qiu Fu Qi was also angry. "Clam down, patriarch." A clan elder comforted and told Xian Qiu, he said, "Young patriarch, we can't go against the clan's rule, can we? Young master, you don't want to go back on a promise, but we have to consider the clan's well-being, we have to come up with something that will benefit both sides." Xian Qiu said while he braced him as Xian Qiu stared at him, "Young master, as long as Yu becomes a member of the clan and it won't be considered as breaking a rule if we give her the divine medicine." "What are you saying?" Rage filled Xian Qiu's eyes while he lost the calm he always had. "Young master, this is not a bad idea. With this, we don't break the promise, follow the rules and tie a knot of 2 surnames. I don't agree to this." Xian Qiu rejected right after he hesitated for a few seconds. It was a fact that he liked her but he didn't want to use this way to force her. "Here. Father. You don't have to say anything else, I won't agree to it. You guys better give her the divine medicine. We will never give divine medicine if she doesn't become a member of the clan." Sun Yue turned his gaze to Yu who'd never talked since she stepped in and said, "Here, don't reject so stubbornly, you have to ask Yu about what she thinks. What if she agrees? Yu, if we use divine medicine as betrothal gifts to marry here, will you agree with it?" Xian Qiu looked at Sima Yu as he took slow breaths and his eyes had hidden expectation. Sima Yu smiled lightly and asked a question in reply, "Aunt, do you think I should accept it? You'll be the next matriarch if you marry here, you'll get all nurtured by my clan. With your talent, breaking through emperor rank is possible after a period of time. Also, you will be able to get divine medicine that way, won't you? Sima Yu pretended to think about it seriously. Big brother, he is a prominent talent, he is also highly regarded in the hidden families. It seems like the condition you guys stated was quite attractive. But auntie, you guys seem to be avoiding it. You guys promised to give me divine medicine if I cured big brother he, so you guys should fulfill the promise. This. We can't give it to you if you don't become a member of our clan. Sima Yu laughed with sarcasm in her eyes. I'll think about it, I'll answer you guys in 3 days. Little junior sister, are you really going to agree to their condition? Han Miao Shuang didn't expect that Sima Yu would consider it. It wouldn't be nice to ask this in the hall, so she asked the questions she had in her heart after they left. What do you think? Sima took a glance at her with her smiling eyes and wasn't angry at all. Little junior sister, aren't you angry? Sima Yu looked at the mountain range at afar and sighed faintly. I'll definitely be angry if big brother he behaved the same way. Fortunately, he didn't. As for the others, they aren't related to me, what's there to be angry about if they want to be such despicable people? I'll just go and get revenge if I feel uncomfortable. I'll only be angry for people who I care about. It's good that you are open-minded.